Okay, the recording has started, and this is the March 10th, 2020 Rook Community Meeting. As usual, we will start with our milestone checkup. I believe since the last meeting that we did a 1.2.5, and we don't have any plans for another 1.2 patch release. Travis, did 1.2.5 anything of note to mention with that?
No, I mean, it happened a couple Fridays ago. I guess we could mention that here, but yep. And for the next one, there's no burning issues that I'm aware of. I think there is one issue I want to backport at least, and there might have been one other bone backported that I'm forgetting which one it was. But I think if we could wait a couple more weeks or something before the next update. That topology one in the review column is the one I'd like to get out when
so
we do 1.6.
And that'll go into 1.3, but then you're thinking of backporting it for a 1.2.6 release?
That's right. Yep, Blaine found that issue a couple days ago. Anyway, we were not honoring the new 1.17 topology key for OSDs.
All right. Okay. So then, on the next big release for 1.3, we had been planning around doing that in time for KubeCon, but KubeCon Amsterdam is no longer a spring 2020 thing. So it looks like you have some new thoughts on that, Travis.
I do. Primarily because spring break was the week of March 23rd when we wanted to ship, and I thought, hey, if there's no rush for the release, if we basically delay it a week, then I can have a better spring break for the family vacation and do the release when I get back. But if somebody else wants to drive the release, that's totally fine. I'm happy to let that release still happen if people are interested in it. Otherwise, I'll be happy to drive the release when I get back. I'll speak on that most of that week. Anybody else have thoughts on ship time or if that works okay?
Yeah, my gut feel is that, there's not a super pressing need from, the release to be published and out and available from a, critical feature or consumption perspective. That release date was, driven by both our quarterly cadence desire and then also, getting it in time before KubeCon Amsterdam. So with that constraint removed, then I think that, a week later is not an issue for me at all.
Anybody else have comments or concerns or, I don't know, Blaine or others?
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Great, thanks. Let's do it.
Excellent. Yes, and so the current understanding of KubeCon Amsterdam is that there has not been an official date released or published for when it will be moved to. They were saying in July or August was the official word that was published along with the postponement. But it sounds like it might be more August than July.
Yeah. Word on the street is mid-August.
Word on the street. Okay, cool. So yeah, which is unfortunate that we're not getting to gather there in Amsterdam for the conference, but safety first. And I think there's a lot of apprehension about the conference going on with all the spreading plague that's going on. But we'll make do and we'll continue moving forward. And I'm glad nobody's going to be exposed to something that they don't need to be. So that is great. Any more
at some point, but
yeah, God willing.
Anyway,
any more to share on the releases? We spoke about 1.2 and then 1.3 coming up. Anything else to share on that topic?
Just to note that I opened the milestone for 1.4 if people want to move or reassign issues. I was talking to Sebastian about that. And in general, just as a principle, I think unassigning to an issue to a specific release makes more sense to me than sort of wholesale moving things when they're not going to meet the timeline. Just when we're ready to commit to a release, let's assign it to a release. Otherwise, leaving it unassigned from a release is fine. That's my thought. So
yeah, I think it's fine, but since most of us also have downstream related tasks to achieve, then maybe they will get more priority than what we have upstream. Because like,
right.
I think the priority might be changing during cycle 2, shifting a little bit at least.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe like most of the time it will work, but sometimes, yeah, it won't, but that's fine, I guess.
Right.
Sebastian, are you talking like off screen or something?
Yes, I am.
I hear you, but I don't see you.
Yeah, I'm coming back to my desk.
He's mobile.
Yeah.
There you are. Hello. Cool. Okay, that sounds reasonable. All right, let's move ahead then to the community topics section. So the first thing we have in here, I'll give an update on the graduation process with the CNCF. So we presented our formal final presentation to the storage special interest group the day after our last community meeting here. So that was on Wednesday, February 26th. That largely went pretty well. We had all of our due diligence done, the graduation criteria as published. We fully complied with and exceeded most of them in a lot of cases as well. We had supporting evidence for all of those as well. We had previously, before the presentation, met with Saad Ali and confirmed with him that he would be able to sponsor us as a technical oversight committee member to talk through some of his initial questions and concerns and address those as well. So things went pretty smoothly with that. Aaron Boyd presented on behalf of the Storage SIG to the Technical Oversight Committee in their latest, I think it was this last week, their regular TOC meeting. And the recommendation from the special interest group for storage was that Rook should graduate. So it's kind of in the hands of the Technical Oversight Committee next. They were discussing, I think yesterday or today, about if they will take the recommendation from the special interest group just as is and go immediately to a vote, or if they will want to have us present to the Technical Oversight Committee directly in an upcoming meeting there in addition to the recommendation from the SIG. We are fully prepared to present again. We have all our ducks in their row that we left them in. And, we've met all the graduation criteria. We've got the formal presentation put together, the formal write-up and proposal. So if we need to present again, we can present again. No problem with that. I think it would be awesome if it was just the recommendation from the SIG just was taken as is, and the Technical Oversight Committee went ahead and did a vote. And we didn't have to present another time, but we will do what needs to be done to continue with this process here. But we appear to be, with no big obstacles or concerns being raised by the SIG, that we appear to be in fairly decent shape. So yeah, if you want to follow along with the TOC proposal, the official proposal, it's linked there in the doc here for pull request 366 in this TOC repo. So you can find it in the agenda there. And any other things to add on that, Travis?
Oh, you covered it very thoroughly. Sounds good. Just gotta wait now.
Yep. All right. And then also, with the big intent was to get graduation completed before KubeCon Amsterdam, which is now no longer a thing in spring 2020 again. So, we want to keep the momentum going. We do not want to lose this momentum and be in a situation like other recent CNCF projects have been, where some of them have been trying to graduate since October of last year. So we want to keep up the momentum, and Travis and I will make sure that we are following up and making sure that we keep it going here.
Yep. I'm just thinking about graduation and when that happens. So I think CNCF will have a press release. It'd be nice if we had a Rook blog. Maybe we could start up a draft on that now even. Just thinking what other actions would make sense to get the word out there or make a big deal out of it, right?
Yeah, and we can sync up with I don't know if I think you meant Mocha. She works at Upbound. She's the head of marketing there. She's been working with the CNCF about how to do the press releases and channels to do media coverage and stuff like that. So she is leading that charge and has a lot of ideas, and will do a lot of legwork on that for Rook. So she'll contribute to that.
Sounds good.
All right. Cool. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here about the Python client. Travis and Iswan on the call too.
Yep.
Oh, yep. I see him. All right. Go ahead. Take it away, guys.
Yeah, just to follow up from last week, where we discussed creating that repo. So yesterday, I went ahead and created that. And one of the options for creating the new repo was to basically clone from another repo. So I just cloned from the other one. It picked up all the commit history, and all that. So we're good to go there. It does still need a license. I meant to do that. I'll do that today, hopefully, and we'll get it squared away. That's all. Miguel, anything to add there? I think we're good.
No, nothing. It's just we have the things in the right place now. Now we have to start to use them. For example, in the theft manager module for Rook. I think that is a good thing. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Sounds good. And Travis, did you that the repo was going to be moved under the Rook organization, right?
Yes. Oh, I linked the Ceph, didn't I? Yep. Just change Ceph to Rook, and that should be the one.
Oh, okay.
Or I'll change there.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep. There, that should do it.
Nice. And I will click to verify. Ta-da! Hooray! Awesome. This is really cool. I like this a lot.
Right.
All right. So yeah, we did have a overall issue about migrating or enabling the some more advanced operator runtimes, like controller runtime or operator framework within the Rook project as a whole. Travis, I think you made a update here to track as individual projects storage providers now.
Yep, opened, I think 17 issues was it, is how many controllers I found that needed conversion. Each one really will have its own risks and own code changes. There's no, like, it's just not one PR. We really need a separate PR for each one. So yeah, Sebastian has been working, focusing on starting that process and putting some good patterns in place. So thanks to him for that. Just a note here that yep, we did open them for individual ones, and yeah, and a question I guess I wanted to bring up about this is we're still reusing the 1.14 Go client. I'm wondering if we need to update to a newer client Go. I think there's some implications there, and maybe we could delay doing it until after we update to the Go modules. We got that PR in process or progress. But just something to consider, that we should probably update our client before we go too far, and hopefully there's not too many breaking changes with that either.
And are there any known features or fixes or critical changes that are needed in upgrading to a newer version of the Client Go?
Nothing critical that I'm aware of. There will be other benefits besides affecting controller runtime. Like there's a new property available in 1.16. What is it? Oh, the topology spread constraints. Something like that allows us to spread pods across nodes more evenly. That's the one I guess I'm hoping for with updating to 1.16.
What version of the controller runtime libraries do we have in the Rook build right now?
Yeah, it's just 1.14.
Controller runtime, not Client Go, but controller runtime.
I
think
thought
it's-
we pulled in all the same. Sebastian?
I think I've looked at it recently, and maybe I'm wrong, but it's like release 0.3 or something. Maybe I'm thinking about a different package, but because I've noticed that some of the work and the method I've been implementing, they are part of the newer version now. So I was like, oh yeah, maybe we should update and just use what's in the controller package. But yeah, I think for now it's like 0.3, and we could go to 0.5.
Okay.
Is it the Cube Controller Manager package, or which one? I don't see one called Controller Runtime in our Go package.
It's this one, sig.k8s.io/controller-runtime.
Yeah, that's
and
the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and we're using, not 0.3, but 0.2.
Okay, so it's not in Go package.toml, it's in the lock file.
You can look at the lock. Yeah, it's in the lock.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering that because I don't know how many months ago it was. Not too many and not too few. Let's say that. That we in another project we switched over to using the version 2 of the controller runtime, and they changed some of the patterns and some of the best practices and some of the way you set up like controllers and stuff like that. So, on the topic of updating the client Go, those are all somewhat intertwined. So that's something to be aware of as well. But if we're already on the, version 2 of the controller runtime, and if the code that we're using there is in sync with the published docs for the controller runtime, then we should be good. Then that means we're already on it.
Yeah. And I mean, updating the client Go, it's always a challenge, but I think when I looked at updating to 1.16 a couple months ago, there was an issue with, was it the bucket provisioner library that we have? It also pulled in controller runtime, and then they were conflicting, and so the dependencies are such a challenge. It's
yeah,
if we don't have to update, great. But.
Yeah, and hopefully, the transition to Go modules can help out with that a bit. I've been having pretty good experiences with Go modules where things just kind of get figured out pretty dang well by the modules resolver. So that can help, but definitely something that has degraded for me, my experiences in Visual Studio Code. The like going to definition and like the CPU usage for by Visual Studio Code has gone up and stuff like that. So it's not super smooth for me yet on that side. That I need to figure something out there.
Jared, you just have to get yourself a 16-thread AMD Ryzen or something. Then that's not a problem.
Oh, that is a totally reasonable solution to that, Alexander. Thank you.
More hardware.
Yep.
No problem.
They're hardware at it. All right. Okay, Charles, do you want to move ahead on to the other stale-related issues?
Sure. Just looking at design docs. So Nuba committed design docs last summer, and they're not moving or not planning on implementing that. They've got their own operators. So I was just planning to remove those just as an FYI from the Rook repo. And Ozone, then the design doc was committed last November, and I don't think I've seen any activity on it yet. So I'm not going to remove those design docs yet, but I guess it's a sign that, when we add a storage provider or potentially add a storage provider, we need to know that it's got some level of support so it doesn't just die off again. So I'm concerned about the Ozone operator, at least, since there was some activity there and then it's just died. So I'll ping the guy that created those design docs. But
was there any because I don't remember now off the top of my head, was there any big contention about the Ozone design or their approach for integration, or was it fairly straightforward?
I'm trying to remember all the details. I had some feedback on it, but we agreed on the design and merged it, and then I just haven't heard since.
Well, so the Ozone design doc was merged?
Yes, it was merged.
Oh, wait. So okay. So then, what is
Just not the operator.
Oh, okay. So is there's an open PR for that as well?
No, there's no open PR for the Ozone operator. I don't think, unless I'm really forgetting. But basically, Nuba and Ozone both have design docs in Rook with no operator.
Got. Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Okay, cool. That's good to follow up with them, or if there's not going to be progress, like with potentially with Nuba, then we can go ahead and remove it. Is fine.
Right.
And poor little Stalebot is getting some pushback.
I
He
just
works
wanted to bring
hard
it
for
up
us.
here. He does. So I'm just curious for other perspective. I mean, it's kind of awkward when people comment on GitHub issues that happen to get hit by the Stalebot. But so with the Stalebot, I think it's been working really well actually to help us close things that nobody's paying attention to them. If nobody's paying attention to them, then why leave them open? And every 3 months we get this reminder basically that says, hey, I'm going to close this if you don't touch it. And personally, I try to look at all of those and make sure to comment or take the won't fix label off is the easiest way in order to keep it alive.
Yeah, which doesn't add a comment, but people like without triage privileges or whatever, you can't do that, right?
Can't do that.
Yeah,
exactly. So just saying I think it's been a good thing. And just to know, there are 2 labels that will make the bot ignore the thing: security and reliability. So reliability was one I just added to the bot to go along with those control runtime issues that I opened. So I guess my question is, would it be useful to have other labels? I don't think I want like ignore bot label, because then it would probably get overused.
one that I can think of is that a common scenario that I believe that we run into this for is for something that has community demand, that users or consumers of Rook want to see this functionality, but there hasn't been engineering resources to be able to devote to it to implement it. So it's kind of a mismatch there. People want it to happen, but there's not progress being made on it, but it's still an important thing for the community to see. So potentially maybe like a community demand or a community requested or something like that label could be on there. And then, if folks don't do that by default, but if somebody's like bad bot, we really want this functionality, like please don't, stop trying to close this, then potentially add like the community request or community demands label for that type of scenario.
Potentially. If nobody's ever going to work on it either, then, well, an example of this is in the next bullet. I added a new stale issues section. So this is the issue that triggered the Stalebot question. Dynamic database provisioning. This is the Stalebot is triggered like 4 times or more over the last year and change. And the same guy has been triggering it to stay alive. Well, is someone going to work on it or not? And this specific issue, maybe this is something already solved by crossplane and we won't do it in Rook. You may have specific thoughts on that specific one, Jared. But
yeah, and I saw that come into my inbox yesterday, so I'm happy to add some comments onto that one or provide an opinion on that one. So I think it's potentially, it's a case by case basis of, yes, this is something that we would like to get into Rook, but we just haven't gotten the engineering resources to put it into the next milestone, or because each milestone is a 3-month, a quarterly window, right? So if it's not in one milestone, then it would, and nobody touched it after that, it would trigger the Stalebot before we get to the next time. So it's I would say it's a case by case basis of using that label, and it wouldn't be necessarily used, very broadly or widely to just quiet down the Stalebot, because the Stalebot does, I think, good work for a lot of reminders for us for a lot of different issues that haven't been getting the attention that they need.
Right. So even the community requested things, if we get a reminder every 3 months that nobody's working on it, that seems like a good thing too. But if someone gets annoyed by the Stalebot and leaves the project because of it, that's not a good thing either. Although, if that's the only concern they have with the project, then that's not terrible either.
Yeah, I think the cost or like, the risks or what we, the detriment of using a community request type of label for things that folk, consumers or users of Rook find important is fairly minimal. That, that we might have issues that stay open for longer, but that's in my opinion that's perfectly fine for that type of scenario. So I don't personally feel that the risk or downside of it is significant.
Right, so something like community request, I
Yeah,
could go for that.
yeah, that seems reasonable in my opinion.
I'm gonna think of a different name for it, but yeah,
That's also reasonable in my opinion.
all right,
Cool.
we can move on.
Yep, and I will comment on 1704 with perspective on that one. I'm going to refresh, what the conversation has been on that one.
Right. Cool. Okay.
Okay. Yes, and then so this PR here for doc updates for prereqs.
Yeah, I just opened that up yesterday. It's not a major rework of the doc. I kind of was scrubbing the docs and cleaning some things up. And maybe just one thing I want to point out to the wider audience is that the prereqs section changed, where there's only a single prereq doc with no child documents in the doc hierarchy. I just think that'll make it easier to focus in on what are really the prereqs. And I think all the sub documents we had, or a lot of them at least, were kind of not necessary or not applicable to most people. So I kind of moved those topics later in the documentation and link them from the prereqs doc, just to give focus to the right place for prerequisites. So yeah, needs review. I tagged a few people for review, and that's all.
That sounds good. And I just remembered another topic I wanted to bring up. So I'm adding it now, retroactively.
While you're typing, I still have an action item from the last meeting to remove obsolete Helm channels. No update there.
Got it. So I'm going to move this window in this tab into this window. Do you see this Netlify issue?
Yes.
Okay. So this I don't know how this came about in the beginning for moving Rook.io to be hosted by Netlify. So we asked about that, and then Luke Perkins from the CNCF kind of brought up some potential benefits from it. So we are already managing our DNS for Rook.io through Netlify. So that is already there. And then, there's some apparent benefits that you get from over GitHub pages with Netlify's static website hosting stuff. So I mean, I don't have a strong pushback on this one, but I didn't really see a ton of benefit or didn't understand the original decision behind this or history. But it seems somewhat reasonable. I wouldn't say, no, we shouldn't do this. I mean, we're already hosting our DNS there, and then moving the page to be the site itself to be hosted in the same location that the DNS for it is I don't have a strong pushback on that one. Does anyone have a strong opinion on this?
Not I. Yeah. So did I comment on that issue? I need to open it. Let's see. Or it's just been you and.
I think back in the days when we were talking about doing the DNS stuff, but not, because the issue was first opened of moving to Netlify with no description at all or why. And that's why when it came by later on, I was like, well, wait, why are we doing this? I don't understand what's going on here. So no, I don't think, I didn't see any discussion about their, besides the DNS, why this was necessary until Luke provided this this description here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. And does that impact our getting the email address like security@rook.io?
No, that I originally set that up with the Google group. So that's typically outside of Netlify.
Oh, that's right. I just couldn't get access to it yet.
Yeah, and I could not figure out what was going on with that because like I have everything unchecked of like require, you know, the like identity account or whatever. I could not figure that out still. So we might have to open up, do it in a new place or a different place. Because I think that the account I'm using to create the Google group is what's causing issues there.
And then on a related note, the info@rook.io, that email still exists, but where does that email go?
Bassam and I are on that one. I think that's literally in the same bucket, same situation as the security at Rook.io issue is. So I think that if we do figure out something for security, then do the same thing for info also.
I guess I'm wondering, do we need the info@rook.io? Do people email it, or because it's
They do.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that it's super like valuable and necessary, but they do email it.
Right. I guess wondering why they wouldn't just come to GitHub or Slack or the email group, right? Yeah, I just haven't seen what emails they're sending. So
yeah, how about I take an action item to clean up or come up with a plan for the email addresses.
the emails.
Yeah.
Sounds good since you have access to it.
Yeah. Well, you should. I gave you access, but it doesn't want to let you in. I don't know
work.
Why.
Right.
Cool. All right. I will put that on my little notey pad here. Okay, cool. So yeah, so then the Netlify thing, I mean, there's not like strong, like Alexander, I think you've had a lot of, probably more of the interaction with, you know, doing GitHub pages, doing updates to the Rook.io static site and using GitHub pages, etc. Do you have an opinion about Luke's comments here?
No, not really. Like both in the end, if both work in the end, it doesn't really make any difference. I'm more in the point of instead of Jekyll, for example, using something else, but then it wouldn't be compatible with GitHub pages. But it would be much more work in the end. So
it would be much more work. Is that what you said?
No, it's just more work if we would use a different theme engine. Not theme engine, but another. There's different things like Jekyll, that's like Hugo and other things. And at least I'm more of a Hugo fan, but well, just a side note, no, but it will work, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to think about it a little bit more because I mean, like reading again here, what Luke is saying is that it's like, I mean, who's going to use these other tools? I mean, what is like the site? Does it need more changes? Like, what development work does it need? I just don't feel like this is like something we really need to do.
We're not actively changing the website, and it's just sort of minor text changes or whatever. Maybe we don't worry about the migration because that'd just be more work.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying too.
So yeah, pretty much. Well, I so it seems like what I wanted to bring up in this meeting here is that nobody has like strong opinions on it either way, it sounds like. So I'll respond to Luke with, you know, I'll think about it a little bit more and respond to Luke and see if there's a really compelling reason to take that on. If not, I don't see a strict need to do that.
I guess the preview feature sounds cool, but
yeah. And Alexander, it looks like you might be having some audio issues now. So if you want to add a comment to that issue to weigh in publicly there, then that would be awesome. Okay, so that is all of the agenda items we had here today. So if anybody wants to bring up a topic right now that was not part of the agenda, that's you're more than welcome to. And if not, then we can go ahead and adjourn for the week. All right, cool. So
Okay.
thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jacob. Have a good week.
Bye bye.
Yep.